it does seem like we are winning the culture war. Finally. Tim Pool, shout out to you and your new baby girl and your wife, Allison. Tim Pool has been preaching family values for years and years and years. I've been following him since the very beginning of Timcast IRL. And he's finally gotten married and had a baby. So it's good to see that he's not a hypocrite or one of those people that doesn't practice what he preaches. So that's good. Keep procreating, Tim. We need people like you, people that are open-minded and fair and believe in balance and justice. More people like that would be good. So hopefully you teach your little girl your values and be careful with those school systems. I don't think that we can quite dismantle the Department of Education. I think we can maybe make the first steps to do so. It's just very powerful. The teachers union, very powerful. If I talk much about that, I'm probably just going to upset everybody that's a teacher right now. But the teachers union, or a lot of unions in general, have been corrupted. They're not about you. They are in bed a lot of the times with the managers, the higher ups. They get deals for you, sure, but they're getting a lot more out of it than you are, than your salary going up or whatever. Trust me, they're getting gifts that they don't report, bribes. Yeah, if we dig into the Department of Education and look into the teachers unions, we're going to see as much corruption and waste and fraud as USAID, FEMA, IRS, DOJ, FBI, CIA. They haven't even scratched the surface yet. Every day it's more corruption, corruption on top of corruption on top of corruption. If we didn't have Trump as our leader, I really feel like this would just be too much for whoever it was that was in office. If it wasn't a Democrat, just make things worse and turn us into a communist nation. Like that was where we were headed. Kamala would have been like, she would have just been a figurehead for like the WEF and Davos and all of the globalists out there. Yeah, she would be like what Canada's got right now with their prime minister. Who was worse, Justin Trudeau or this new clown who's just as much of a globalist as Justin Trudeau, but he has friends in Goldman Sachs and some very powerful entities. Who knows if he has BlackRock connections or tied to people that are part of the Federal Reserve. Talk about big kahuna. Let's go back to the gold standard. It's interesting enough that I'm pretty sure that Nixon wanted to go back to the gold standard. What happened to Nixon? After what I've seen with President Trump, I'm starting to think that Nixon was set up. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we're talking, this is not very long after they killed Kennedy. You think that they just changed after that? They're like, oh, good, we got rid of that guy. He was the biggest problem. Whew. Now we can just sit back on our laurels and not mess with the American people or politics or world domination or whatever these people had in mind. You know, they were playing with American citizens as well. We were test subjects. Even Barack Obama basically told everybody that we're test subjects. I just think it's kind of hilarious that the left still hasn't recognized like their policies and the way they approach people and talk all condescending and arrogant. The way they talk down to people. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Asian. If you're an American citizen, and I kind of feel like the Democrats hate you and the MSM hates you and the leftists and progressives hate you. They don't have it in them to appreciate the fact that they are in a country that is very rare, that has free speech, that allows them to say these types of things. And they take it for granted. You know who else takes it for granted? That Kalil guy. He was arrested. He is married to an American citizen. He has a green card, but he's also promoting Hamas. And I think he led some sort of student protest thing. Kalil is accused of promoting Hamas, and Hamas is now considered, why wasn't it before, but it is now considered a terrorist group. So let me get this straight. This guy, who is not an official American citizen, he's on a student visa, gets married to an American citizen, she ends up pregnant with his kid, and I think he just he thinks it's okay to protest American policies when he's not an American citizen. I think he thought that he was safe to be able to do something like that. Number one, because we have free speech in America, and number two, because he's married and he knocked up his wife. And there's that whole citizen birthrightship, and would we separate him from his little kid? Well, if you're going to support terrorists, I don't know what else to say. I know that Israel is also guilty of plenty of atrocities involving children and blowing things up. But Hamas and the people that support it go around saying from the river to the sea, which basically means like wipe out the Israelis. Is one side is saying that and one side is not. But the other side that's not saying it, are their actions speaking louder than their words? I wanted to continue to talk about the cultural war, but here I am talking about war. But back to the cultural war. It all came to a head with Bud Light. Dylan Mulvaney being on the special edition can of Bud Light was really like what upset a lot of normies that drank Bud Light. Normie dudes who are like, who is this and why is it on my can? And we don't really want to promote that either, you know? And let me just say something. Dylan Mulvaney on your beer can is a really good litmus test for how drunk you are. Now, if you're a dude and you're drinking your Bud Light back then and you saw Dylan Mulvaney's face and you start getting more and more attractive, then I could see, like, if they were to put on each can, be like, if you find this person attractive, then you've had too much to drink. then I think maybe there wouldn't have been such a huge backlash. And I don't know, maybe there would still have been, but it wouldn't. It would have been more like a joke. But these people, these DEI people, these trans, like, these pro-trans people, don't have a sense of humor. They lack authenticity, and I think that's why they're not funny. They don't have humor. They don't understand it. It was March of 2023 that this all came to a head. And then you had Target selling things from what do they call it? Selling things from avowed Satanists, as well as tuck swimwear, whether it was for kids or not. It was like right next to the kids stuff, a bunch of like gay pride, trans stuff. I think the trans stuff just like an issue that the majority was not okay with pushing further and further and further, but they were too afraid to say anything. They had already dealt with like the whole George Floyd thing and LGBTQ people, and we were just sick of being canceled and being ridiculed for when we would say something about DEI hires, or I don't feel comfortable with a person that looks like a man wearing a dress and some poorly applied makeup in my bathroom. But if you said anything, you were immediately like shouted down, called a bigot, possibly a racist, a misogynist, a transphobe. You guys remember that? That was fun. But we're starting to take things back. And we really saw that when Trump did the ad during football. I can't remember. Was that Monday Night Football? Was it Sunday Night Football? Didn't matter. It was brilliant, whatever it was. And Kamala is for they, them. Trump is for you. And I think it's the perfect, I mean, he's just so good at slogans and branding. It was the perfect, simple way to look at things and compare each candidate. Kamala's for they, them. She's not for you. But Trump will fight for you. So that was a good moment in the cultural war. The best moment, obviously, was when Trump won. It was, you know, you just, after everything they've done, you just feel like, you felt like a kicked dog and black-pilled. And it was such a ray of sunshine, happiness when Trump won. That was, I don't know, I feel like the highest high, because the lowest low was when Trump was shot. I don't know if you saw my video on that, but that was shocking and traumatizing, horrifying, but also, how do you describe him popping back up and doing fight? It was like a movie. So I think that affected a lot of people. And I think that could be pushing us towards winning the cultural war. We have a lot of young men that voted for Trump. We got to get the young women on board. But I really don't know how, because they have been indoctrinated by the system. Think about all the wins that we've had. Trump wins. We got Joe Rogan more culturally relevant than ever. The trans movement is settling down. Men can't play in women's sports. I'm sorry, trans females. Is that the proper term? I don't even care anymore, honestly. Or biological men can't be competing in sports with women. It's dangerous, okay? I get it. Ideologically, the trans people are thinking, there's no difference between men that think they're women or are trying to be women versus women. But there is a huge difference. And let's just use common sense from now on, or women could get really hurt. So I hope the Olympics are listening, because there were some really horrible things that happened during the last Olympics. Women getting the tar beat out of them would be some of that. But Disney is listening. However, we'll see if any of the warnings that we've given them about DEI, strong woman stuff. I mean, I hope Hollywood is listening. I think they are listening, but it takes a long time to affect change. So, but I do think that they're listening. And America has rejected Meghan Markle's fakeness by not watching her Netflix show, and the critics are actually saying it's terrible. Michelle Obama had a podcast, only got 25,000 views. People are starting to not worship the Obamas anymore, which is great. They're starting to see through that facade. Dylan Mulvaney's book bombed. I don't know, it was like number 500 and something. It's not good. But people don't want to read that stuff. Even the younger people that were his fans before have probably moved on. So unless you're like obsessed with him, you're probably not watching him, and you're probably not going to buy his book.